What key are you in?
That's E.
That's an A harp?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to play?
Should I just do an intro like that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sitting in Ventura, California, the Franco was just playing a little blues for you. I like that guitar. Recording king. Yeah, everybody, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. Here I am hanging out with my old friend, partner,
Long time.
accomplice
Long time.
of what, some 30 plus years, Mr. RJ Mischo. What's happening, RJ?
Good to see you, Frank. Sad that you're going to have to head back on Sunday. We had a good run of gigs while you were in town.
We sure did, yeah.
Good
sure
run of
did.
gigs.
Sure did. I was sure glad to get a chance to play.
See you in a few weeks in Belgium.
That's right. We're going to be in Belgium in a couple of... Well, what? Not even 3 weeks.
Swing West Pilar, if I'm...
Is that where it is? Yeah, okay.
Is this your first attempt at podcast?
I've got a first episode with my friend Vincent Duché in Paris.
Yes, yeah. Well, I don't know him personally, but I know of his.
Yeah.
I know him.
So,
Excellent harmonica player.
So I did one with him,
Yeah.
and it got a lot of views.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Surprisingly
I can't believe. I'm sorry, I haven't seen
Okay,
it.
yeah. So what I was hoping to do is just do a little playing, and maybe I want to hear some stories about Mojo Buford and Sonny Rogers. Your days back in the Twin Cities. When did you meet Mojo, and how did you meet Mojo Buford?
How I met Mo, I don't really recall, but there was a circle. As you know, it's a small group of musicians in just about every town that are on the same page with playing, with the
Right.
kind of stuff that we do. So I was probably like in my late teens, and I had already been, kind of immersed in the Twin Cities blues scene.
Now, most people associate Mojo with Muddy Waters and the Chicago blues scene, and most people don't realize that he actually lived. He was living in Minneapolis.
He spent a lot of years in Minneapolis, living in Minneapolis, and then down around Memphis, and then of course off and on touring with Muddy Waters. he was doing shows a lot with Muddy in our early associations. And I
Oh, he
remember-
was.
Yeah, I remember him. He would like, oh man, I can't. I'm going to be gone for a month or something like that. And
So he was with Muddy's at some point in the early 70s, and then again at the end.
yeah, and I'm not exactly sure. I would have to look of his tenure of all the harmonica players, and there's somebody out there on the internet that has like all the harmonica players and the years
With Muddy? Really?
they played and recorded with Muddy. But yeah, Mojo was, we became very good friends, and but previous to that in the Twin Cities, the guys that really got me going, where I first saw someone blowing live harmonica with a band, was Pat Hayes from the Mont Cranston Band.
Oh yeah.
And then a little bit later, about around that same time, I'm a teenager, 17, something like that. I ran into and befriended with Linwood Slim, because Linwood
Was he living out there?
Yeah, Linwood Slim was hanging up
Because
there.
I met him out here. I met him in L.A.
And he's the guy that really got me straightened out. I'd like to say, as far as advice on harmonica technique.
Oh,
And pointing me in the direction of people to listen to and that kind of thing. He really helped me musically. By the time I got to Mojo, or got to know with Mojo, it was a wonderful association. We used to do quite a few shows around the Twin Cities together. I would come out, open up the show. Sonny Rogers was playing guitar on that. Another great guitar player, my buddy Dan Schwalbe.
he was great. Sonny Rogers was killer.
And and a couple of different rhythm sections. Late Jack Taylor, Greg Shuck, Marty, some cats that are still playing around the Twin Cities, old friends of mine.
Is Sonny Rogers?
Sonny's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah.
I think he's on that album with Mojo, that Chicago Blues Summit album.
You mean this record, right?
Him and Pee Wee Madison and Sammy Lawhorn.
But yeah, that record was. I remember when this record came out.
That's the one.
Yeah. Oh, look at, there's a little article in there on Mojo. And that record, yeah, when that record came out, you can see it's signed. It's kind of fading off to my good friend RJ or Bob. He called me Bob.
He called you
He called me
Bob.
Bob.
Yeah.
Mojo Buford, but yeah.
So were most people calling you Bob back then?
Yeah.
When did you switch to RJ? I've always known you as RJ.
Well, RJ was always more my family name, actually.
Nice.
My family, my mom and dad started calling me RJ around early teens or something like that.
But professionally, you were known as what?
I don't know. Professionally. But,
right, exactly, yeah.
Oh, just trying different monikers. How hard it is to come up with a name.
Yeah, well.
Band names and that kind of thing. Linwood Slim said, "Man, you should have went with Bobby Joe Mischo."
That's cool. It's not too late. Bobby Joe
Who
Mischo.
cares? Yeah, but.
Bobby Joe Mischo. Okay, let's play something in memory of Mojo.
Okay.
What was his repertoire? I played with him once, but honestly, I don't remember what we did with him.
Well, Mojo was totally old school. His repertoire would be, he really, of course, like a lot of guys, would emulate the B.B. King vocal style a lot. And he would do like some standards, everything from, Sweet 16 to Hoochie Coochie Man, of course, Got My Mojo Working, had to be played. And his other material would be like some of the stuff on his recordings, like Devil's Love Sin.
Yeah, so he had some cool originals.
Well,
Deep Sea Diary, was that him?
Well, maybe it was him, but like some of those songs, I would find lyrics that he was using that he adapted from like jug bands.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and that kind of thing. So,
he was what generation? He was probably born in the 30s,
let's
early
see what it says
30s.
here for George.
1930s,
I
something.
don't have glasses on, but I think there is. Well, anybody can look it up.
Yeah.
1929.
29. So I was.
Hernando, Mississippi, November 11th, 1929.
So that makes sense that when he was a kid, he would have heard like the Mississippi Sheiks.
Sure.
People like that.
raised, I'm singing gospel, and then he heard the harp sound of Little Walter, and moved to Chicago, and took it from there.
So is there one song in particular that you remember playing with him or hearing him do that you do now on your shows?
I recorded that song "Devil's Love Sin" that I got off of this record, I believe. I do Watchdog. I do his version of Watchdog. Let's do a grinder in the key of A, and I'll do a little bit of Mojo's Watch.
Okay, let's do it.
Just set me up with like a medium, yeah. I'm gonna get a watchdog. Teach him to be only faithful to me. I'm gonna get a watchdog. Teach him to go and obey only me. So if I'm somewhere way on business, he's gonna keep all them clothes away. I'm gonna get a big dog, biggest dog I can find. I'm gonna get a great big dog, the biggest dog that I can find. Teacher me mean and precious, so he doesn't let nobody else inside. Watch down but me. I don't want nobody pat my watch down but me. If I catch him wagging his tail at a stranger, ooh, my baby might be out here cheating on me. Lay it on me one time. I'm gonna get a watchdog, baby. Teach him be only faithful to me. Something like that.
So I noticed that you switched harps on that. We were playing in A and you switched harps, and so why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, there was no particular reason for it other than just variety.
Well, yeah, but you switch from one harp to another, and it's...
Well, harmonica players will know exactly what I'm doing, but most blues harmonica players that I've listened to would pretty much play in three positions.
Right, yeah.
There's, three harmonicas that you can play in any one key. So, I mean, it could go beyond that. Technically you can play...
Well, theoretically
you can play any key on any harmonica.
There's as many positions as there are keys, right? Theoretically.
Right,
yeah.
right. But most guys play in blues, the second position cross harp.
Mm-hmm.
So we were playing the key of A there, and I was playing a D harmonica, which was cross harp, and then I was also playing one of my favorite sounds is the first position.
First position is really cool.
So I was playing an A harmonica in the key of A. That can be, for a lot of people, elusively, it can be difficult, but once you get it, you can just really get such a guttural, you can really just manipulate those notes.
Especially in the low register. In the low register, that's really cool.
Well, of course, it's also known for the high note.
For the high notes, yeah.
Blows, the squeaky high note blues blows that, like, Jimmy Reed made famous, which are effective. Use them sparingly.
A little bit of it goes a long way, yeah. So.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's it. It's, I always have tried to play music, especially with this instrument, to more appease the musicians that I'm working with on the bandstand more than probably the listener. I'm sorry, but
can you clarify that? I'm not sure I'm following you. What do you mean by more appease?
Well, playing in a way that the guitar players and the other guys that might be equally in love with the music as much as I am. So I'm not playing too much, basically.
I see.
Just, I actually reserve myself. And sometimes I notice when I do just let it go and just...
Well, there's a time for that, too.
There's that, too. But you notice when you just let it go, it seems to... if you're playing in front of an audience, that's the stuff that seems to get people excited more than the subtlety.
I think I do that, too. I mean, actually, sometimes I refrain from playing solos on certain songs.
It might be a mistake as far as elevating your career stock.
Yeah.
But as far as playing music, it's what I try to play like something I would want to listen to.
Of course. Exactly.
There was a great studio in Minneapolis down on 38th and Nicollet or Cedar. I can't remember. Chicago, 38th and Chicago in Minneapolis. That turned into like kind of the chess record scene, I'd like to say, of the Twin Cities. Our buddy Pat Dawson, a bass player, had moved there in the 80s from...
That name rings a bell.
Well, he had that Blue Moon and then had to change it to Blue Loon.
Blue Loon
Records.
Yeah.
And he really recorded and spent a lot of money and effort helping out Twin Cities, blues musicians, and was very enthusiastic. I mean, without, those early records that I did, I mean, they really helped get international exposure, because he really worked it. At the time when everything, all the, blues stuff was in print, there was all those magazines and everything, and I mean, the old paper magazines,
Blues,
all over the world, so he
Blues
really...
Unlimited.
Yeah, and it was always so fun to, like, pick up a magazine, and there was a article.
Blues news from different cities.
All over. Well, I know, that's like how you found the whole Oakland scene.
That's exactly. And there was another cat that you really don't hear very much about, and that's Lazy Bill Lucas. He was over there too, right? Wasn't Lazy Bill?
Yeah, and frankly, I didn't know Lazy Bill real well. He had a radio show. He passed, I started getting real busy in my early 20s, and I did play with Lazy Bill. It was the first time I ever had to buy, like, flat tuned harmonicas, because Lazy Bill played the black keys on the piano.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Now that's interesting.
He liked to play a lot in sharps and flats.
Wow.
And but I was very young. I remember Percy Strother brought me down to a gig that Lazy Bill was playing, and I did play with him, but Lazy Bill used a harmonica player in his band that was quite a Twin Cities figure by the name of Tom Burns. There was a bunch of these West Bank, Minneapolis guys that were a little generation older than I was, and I was peeking in a lot of times, and but then those guys started having me sit in and that kind of thing. But Lazy Bill had a radio show. He had a radio show, the Lazy Bill Lucas Show, and that. But I only actually performed with Lazy Bill one time that I can remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, why don't you talk a little bit more about Percy Strother? Because that name comes up a lot whenever we have a conversation about the Twin Cities. You mention that name a lot. I don't hardly know anything about that guy. Who's Percy Strother?
I met Percy in a music store when I was 16 years old. And it was up in Brooklyn Park, kind of a suburb, northwestern suburb of the Twin Cities. And I went into a music store, and Percy had a pretty dominating appearance, I guess is what you'd say. You're not going to miss Percy.
Okay.
You know, and especially when he was singing. And he was sitting on an amplifier, like checking out a 335 they had in the store. He could play some cool guitar, and he was singing. And at that time, I was 16 years old, and me and my buddies, good friend of mine, Kurt the Kingpin Dorn, and a couple other guys were playing blues. We had a little band called the City Limits Blues Band, and this is right around, high school, senior year in high school. And I saw Percy, and I invited him over. I just said, hey man, me and him. He just looked at me, see, Percy probably 15, 20 years older than I am, and he just looked at me, and he was I seemed pretty surprised, and I was like, hey man, I got a band, and we're doing this kind of stuff, and would you ever be interested in coming over and checking it out? And sure enough, he came over, and we used to rehearse in Kurt Dorn's family house, his dad's basement. His dad was a very classy guy, Arthur Dorn. I loved Art. And he was very tolerant of us. We were down there smoking weed and drinking and just, having a ball down there, listening to records. And I guess Art figured that it's better that we're down there than out in the streets running around, And I'm making it sound, more glamorous or whatever than it probably really was. But we had a great time, and Percy was a big influence at that time. And I was just so from Natchez, Mississippi originally, a real blues singer and a soul singer, and knew all the Little Walter tunes, knew all the Muddy catalog, all the Sonny Boy Williamson catalog. I remember we used to do that, I love playing that song. He used to sing that Little Walter song, You Don't Know. It's in D, and it's like, you don't know, and this guy's voice is just giant, you don't know what's on my mind, pretty baby, you just don't know. Kind of an obscure outtake.
So did he record? Did Percy Strother record?
Percy Strother is recorded, the first record that I did was with this guitar player by the name of Teddy Kid Morgan.
Teddy Morgan, that's right.
Who was, kind of a protege, real young out there, and he was playing with Lamont Cranston, and he quit Lamont Cranston, and we started a band called RJ and the Kid Blues Band. And when it came to making a record, we thought, maybe we should try to get a real singer on this record. And so we invited Percy on the session. So then the record came out, RJ and the Kid Blues Band, featuring Percy Struthers, and that, that album really became quite an underdog.
Do you have it here?
I have a copy.
Can I see it?
I have a copy. I'll have to go get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
This album. And
CD.
all over the world.
I remember this cover.
Yeah, all over the world, people have
check this out.
People have come up to me, and that was the record they said that really got him into the whole blues thing, and that's how I got any recognition really in the get-go, was kind of from the release.
Whatever happened to Teddy Morgan? Is he around? Is he still playing?
Teddy is living in, he's know he's doing music. He's living in Nashville. I think he does a lot of studio, has a studio. And he's in the Kevin Costner band.
Kevin Costner
has a band called Modern West. I don't know how much they perform, but
I didn't know that.
But Teddy is instrumental, as far as I know, in the Kevin Costner band, and I think that they take care of him pretty well with the musicians that works with them. So
that's great. That's great. So you and I met. We met what, in the early '90s?
No, it would have been more like the later '90s, because I moved to California in 1996, and then we met through Charles Puttress.
That's right.
And I was just talking about that with my wife the other night, how listening to that record, you wrote the liner notes. I had known of you, and then Charlie said, "Hey man, I'm going to send over Frank Goldwasser, Paris Slim, to interview you and maybe write the liner notes." And I knew exactly who you were.
And you were living in
California. And you know how I knew of you? It was from Hummel's record.
Oh, wow.
It was from Mark Hummel's record. And
No, wait a minute.
I was living in South San Francisco. You came over to our place.
In South San Francisco, because the first time I heard about you was from Rusty's Inn, and you were doing some gigs with him when you first moved to the Bay Area.
Absolutely,
right? Yeah. And I heard your name from Rusty, and then from Charlie. So you moved from Minneapolis to the Bay Area in '96.
Correct.
So what was the catalyst for that move? Why the Bay Area? You could have moved.
Well, my wife now, we weren't at the time. Heidi came out for a job.
Oh,
my wife had come out. Girlfriend at the time had come out to California, and it was about a year before I finally was able to get my stuff together, and thankfully she invited me to come out.
So when you moved out, did you had you been out to the Bay Area before?
Only once to visit my girlfriend.
Okay.
But I had known Rusty, and a lot of the Bay Area guys from touring and coming through the Twin Cities.
So that was going to be my next question. What were you expecting, or what was your vision? What did you know about the Bay Area blues scene at the time, and is that something that you were excited about, moving out to the Bay Area?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You think there was more going on in the Bay Area than there was in the Twin Cities?
Not particularly. No, not particularly. More musicians playing the vein, playing in the lane that I wanted to be in.
Right.
But that being said, a lot of great players in the Twin Cities, and I hadn't really lived elsewhere. And then, my impression was, oh man, I'm going to go out, that the Bay Area was going to be this vastly different scene as far as gigs and work and everything. And it was good. I mean, it was good times, don't get me wrong, but I was surprised to find out that my hometown of the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, wasn't too bad either. I was thinking the grass is going to be greener. And then all of a sudden I realized, wow, man, I had it pretty good in the old Twin Cities.
So the first record you made in California was Meet Me on the Coast? Was that the first one?
No, it was the one it's called West Wind Blowing.
West Wind Blowing. That's the one I wrote the notes for.
You wrote the notes for, and
that's a great record. That's got Steve Freund on it.
Freund is on it. Rusty's on it. Rhythm section of Johnny Ace and Walter Shufflesworth. With some other guests. Guitar player Justin McCarthy, a hot young guitar player that I had on there. Jimmy Molyneux played some drums on that.
Okay.
Randy Bermudez on bass.
Oh, wow.
Who else was on that? Is there a keyboard?
Randy Bermudez was
Bob Welsh, I think, is on that. It's quite a lineup. Yeah.
So, yeah. Bob Welsh, he's with the T-Birds now, right? Playing with the T-Birds?
Doesn't he play with all those guys?
He plays with everybody.
T-Birds, he
Elvin,
plays with Charlie, he does
Elvin
shows
Bishop.
with Elvin Bishop, yeah.
And Randy Bermudez is with Charlie, yeah.
Great musicians. Man, those were good times. I was
I
just
know.
thinking of how, like I was talking to Heidi, I said, remember like back in those days, I remember going to that studio when it was in the warehouse district in Oakland over there, and everybody was just laughing and having a good time.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
It's interesting that you and I didn't play together in the Bay Area. We didn't
Nope.
play together until you moved down here, right?
I think so. Yeah. What were you doing? Were you doing your own gigs at that time? Or I think when I came to the Bay Area, it wasn't long after that you did relocate down to Southern California.
98 is when we...
Okay, so we
Santa
didn't really
Barbara.
have much of an opportunity
No.
before then.
No, I came down here in 98. Also because of Heather, because my wife was
Oh, sure.
from down here. But, so those were some good times. Remember playing at the Sans Souci in Ventura with Eddie Clark?
Yeah. I just saw Eddie not too long ago, and he was looking great and playing great. Him and Lynette are. I just did a show for one of the old juke joints in eastern Oklahoma. I did played in Rentisville, a benefit for the Down Home Blues Club. There's a really interesting scene in Oklahoma, eastern Oklahoma. And Eddie came to the gig.
So is he living down there again? Because
He's living in Oklahoma.
Oh,
yeah.
because last thing I heard, he was in Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah.
So now he's back in Oklahoma, which is where he's from originally,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. He's
Great
back in
musician.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just watching a video of Road Games the other day that he's on with Rick Reed on bass. What a smoking rhythm section.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember seeing Eddie with Rick, with William Clark playing in the Twin Cities.
Oh, wow.
And then, I idolize these cats. And then by the time I'm out here and I'm like, I'm playing with these guys.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Well, I think the first time I played with Eddie was with you.
Okay.
That's the first time I played with Eddie.
I go by that club. There's a little place in downtown Ventura here. How do you put it? It's Sans Souci?
Well, sans souci in French, but I don't know how you would say it.
Frank and I played there. We played there every Sunday night for
Quite a while.
with Eddie for quite a while, a good year or so.
Quite a while, yeah. That was a funky little joint.
It sure is.
Feel like playing something?
Sure. What you want to do?
Why don't you? Can you do something? Something on the chromatic.
It's called Mo's Jam.
Mo's Jam. Belgium, that festival, how much time you got? 45 minutes, an hour?
I don't know. Don't think about it. Just pick up a guitar and start playing.
Okay.
You don't have to think anymore. You don't have to try anymore. Just
Well,
play. Play.
That's key. That's the.
We'll do some of your songs. We'll do some of my songs.
Okay. All right.
Because we got good support behind us.
Oh yeah.
Miko and Yaska will do a nice.
And you're gonna be doing some dates prior to the festival with those guys.
Yeah, there's up in Aalborg. You're up there.
Oh, I love that place.
Pretty little town up there, and
Same club?
no, I don't know what it is. I can't pronounce it, but there's a festival it's like a week-long event.
And you're doing that with, so that's going to be with Yaska and Nico and Tommy, right? Tommy Leno.
No, Tommy's not going to be on that.
Oh, Johnny
Rockin'
Burton.
Johnny
Rockin'
Burton's going to do a couple of
yeah.
shows, and I'm also looking forward to hooking up with a great Danish guitar player by the name of Ronnie Boyce, and he's going to do we're going to do a show together. I played with him a long time ago, but cool guy. And then I'm playing maybe with another Danish band. Good players up there.
Oh, yeah. Scandinavia is known for that. Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, I guess I'll see you then. See you there and see you then. Less than 3 weeks.
Okay.
Well, thanks for taking the time to do this. I think it was good.
All right, cool. Well, thanks, Frank. Good luck with
Anything else you'd like to talk about, play, mention, anything else?
Well, just on behalf of you and I, we have instruments and we'll travel.
That's right.
But you gotta pay us.
We're not cheap, but we can be had.
Pretty cheap.
Thanks for watching, everybody. See you around.